wanted to talk. I'm gonna hash out some stuff that's on me noggin. I just saw a short from the ballerina farm. They're quite a large channel. She's a beautiful ballet dancer. He's a farmer. They run a farm. They live this really kind of holistic. She bakes a lot of bread and does a lot of cooking from scratch. It's sort of aspirational, you could say, like quite beautiful and earthy and grounded. And of course, as like all successful things in this world, there's a lot of kickback. At the same time, there's nuance to it because they're extraordinarily wealthy, privilege, all the stuff that goes along with it. And I want to say Mormon. So there's a very sort of rooted underlying religious, American religious sort of backbone. Not to mention, within the wealth community, and they're large and they come from large families and they've produced a large family. There's a sense of real integrity and knowing within that world. And yet, any of us who have struggled or been born into lower socioeconomic families, we have to accept a lot of us as humans and journalists and all that kind of stuff. Like, we're always looking at things from our own life experience, right? And we have to be aware that often is the case if people are joyful or aspirational, that they can attract people who are envious of them and then potentially want to tear them down, right? And that personally, hala, divine sight. This is miraculous. I'm leaving for Morocco tomorrow. It's a super last minute gig, and I'll be there for like a month or two this time, going to teach right around the same area that all the healing happened then. Rightio. So I am so on the internet we'll see stuff about the trad wives, and of course there's such polarity to that. Like all the stuff on the internet, right? Haha. As in, I have no desire to come onto the internet and tear people down, but I like to, I guess, like philosophize and like be like, what is that, right? Because there's something so joyful and abundant and beautiful about, for example, Ballerina Farm, and there seems to be a lot of love, and of course the kickback is like the wealth and the kind of male dominated patriarchal structure, and that women are slaves that just have to procreate and stay at home and all that kind of stuff. But then, the trad wives that we see on the internet are working women because they're working online, they're sharing content online. And increasingly, I'm aware that that is a trajectory. At the same time, from a spiritual perspective, we will continue to have to hone our telepathic communications and or our awareness of more of the totality and or our awareness of the quantum field. But and there's going to be more and more teachers that the masses can discover and or align with and feel into for our own freedom and liberation. This is, in a sense, New Earth is carved out by our own desire for freedom, liberation, but that's an authentic truth. That's more in alignment with a broader truth, like a quantum truth, versus the three-dimensional reality, which on many levels, that perspective is breaking down via an awareness of the patriarchal structure, via an awareness of a class structure, and of course all the divisive structures. So whether it's the color of our skin, our gender, whatever, those really rigid constructs are kind of crumbling and falling down, or we're facing them. So the LGBTQ, I want to say, or the trans movement, like those things are breaking down barriers because people are choosing to not align with the really rigid roles of this is how to be a woman. You're right. And or this is what it means. And then, but also a very profound healing of the shadow. So all of us, being aware of the nuance of privilege depending on this. So I guess that's maybe the profundity or the beautiful healing capacity of holding space, holding space for all those differences, for all of us to be able to work through the emotional densities that go along with our own awakening process, right? With our an awakening into that state of freedom and grace. But here's my laboratory is that I am aware that, okay, so we have the class wars, right? Like, as in, from my perspective, there's like the masses and the kind of very few people that are in the corporate media realm that are dictating the political and every other narrative, essentially. Partly why divide and conquer is an effective control mechanism, because it keeps all of us just sort of like in conflict, okay? And if we're in conflict, we're not able to heal. If we're like all the time, like fighting, and like reactive, the nervous system needs to calm down to heal, to think clearly, and all that jazz, right? So if we're constantly fighting, or we're constantly in conflict and in these sorts of patterns, it can be pretty ticky. It can be pretty tricky to have some emotional healing, or to endeavor a therapeutic healing path. Not that that looks like anything specific, but ideally it allows us to be more calm, more present, more accepting of all that is. So then the class war stuff, it makes me think of like, well, of course, if you're super poor and struggling all your life, and you're seeing people on the internet like making all the money and buying all the things and living such an awesome life, but also being a bit of a douchebag, you're like, why, God? Why have you done this to me? And yet I would dare see, from a spiritual perspective, there's definitely beauty, like, there's purpose in poverty to a certain degree. Not that I'm justifying it, because I have no desire. Like, it's part of why I'm here. Why I do what I do is because poverty and violence affected me so deeply as a child and throughout my life, that I was like sort of surrendering to the like, just make use of me sort of thing, universe. Like, just do what you will, because I couldn't, I wouldn't know, kind of thing, how to change things. I still don't. It's just that love from within self, like finding that loving place to help you walk through the fires of this life, kind of thing. Like, that's part of the ticket to our personal freedom and liberation. The truth shall set us free, not the news media outlets. Okay, so the basic needs and stress survival. So it's all connected, right? The class wars, and then this weird oligarch structure of dominion of like very few people, corporations profiting out of the world's resources. But in my mind, I'm like, but every human being with every human being deserves to exist, right? And on this shared planet, I'm pretty sure no one person or corporation owns the planet, right? We all inherit it. Like, this is what's so corrupt about the 3D matrix, or the system, or whatever. It's like, every single one of us deserves to be here. So the fact that we're paying for water, and paying for air, and paying for food, you're like, what? Hold on, nobody owns that shit, except that's what we've there's mean, cruel, power hungry people, very few, but like, they're the ones who are like, oh, let's just keep shopping and buying and dominating the people and taking their resources and selling it back to them, like, you douchebags. So to me, part of the crumbling of an old world order, or a collapsing system, which is totally reflected of our own breaking down of a ideological system. It's a paradigm shift, right? So all at once, oh my God, the world's collapsing. Well, the world collapsing is a reflection of the human consciousness going through transformation. Our looking at the world and deducing and following the money and doing all the research, and then being like, we can't. So it's like facing that Um, the knowing, you guys. Come on. It's the fucking knowing. The knowing. Divine side. Literally, it's just in this year. Just in the last like week or two, I've been doing a few liveys, and there's a few beautiful, although I'm not seeing any just yet. But there's a few crew that will pop in and be moderators because I tend to not look at comments because of the troll. Those of you who know, like Divine Insight, where I've been here for broadcasting for a while, I used to come live, but then I'd get triggered and end up like crying and we're like raging with the troll. So now, all these years later, I tend to just like not look at the messages for fear of getting trolled. Plus, I don't have the cards, so people aren't like, oh, does Baby Joe love me? Like, I don't know. Okay, love yourself. To thine own self be true. Okay, so then, final note in my notes for this morning's share is about toxic culture. Also, I'm thinking about like culture and like that word. When you think of it with regards to like fermenting things, and there's a festering, like culture. What is that? What is it? We're breeding it all the time, right? And yet so often, and maybe this is a big part of the shift of perspective, but so often we think of all these things as outside of self. And I would dare see we give these things far too much power. Oh, well, that's the government, or that's the culture, or that's the politic, or that's the holla holla holla. I'm like, no, 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 no. You're the fucking creator. We're the creator. At some point, we humans pioneered that economy, yo. We pioneered that industrial revolution, yo. We brought in the technology, We took phones. By the way, the phone addiction is off the fucking charts. I'm off going to Morocco to teach yoga for a few weeks because I need help. Like, I need more people. I work online. I'm online. And if anything goes like weird, it's just the phone. And then I look around and I realize every single one of us is like on the phone. And I'm like, what am I looking for? Another hit? Another dopamine hit? Some more information? Some more something to give me more? Or because I'm just a little lonely, I'm a lone female living on her own. So in the deep, deep countryside, I live far, far away from other civilizations. So, just a fraction touch of the loneliness. And boy, oh boy, like the frightening thing is that sometimes I'll be in a bit of a loop where I'm not even like engaging. I'm not thinking. I'm not listening. I'm literally just going from app to app, like checking. But what am I checking? I don't know. That's addiction, motherfuckers. Like, you feel me? Hey, what up, Thomas Smith? Hey, you guys. Oh, look. Oh, no. See, I'm getting pulled in. Divine Sight. Because Divine Sight is a true holder of the space. Because she is in the knowing. Oh, see, I should not have looked. But yeah, do sub, do like, do follow channel and support small creators and independent businesses and all that jazz. Because listen, focals, the corporations would seemingly not give a razzmatazz about our well-being. I do. Divine Sight, plenty of us humans just doing little bits on the internet. We genuinely effing care about the well-being of humans and the planet. This is part of that weird political narrative of, taking more medicines rather than actually feeding in what helps us to be well, like connection with one another and getting outside every day and relating to nature and like calming our nervous system. Like, seriously, when our nervous systems are more calm, our body is regenerative, our mind is clear, we're pretty happy, whole, like all is okay humans, right? And yet here we are feeding off of like warring violence and just absolute hedonistic corruption on all of the screens, and then our brain doesn't know the difference, and we're just like projecting and injecting and just doing all the things that would make us more robotic, make us more zombie like, and detached from the human heart. I think why there's a rise of things like, or simply dimply, a rise in our awareness of things like borderline personality disorders and things like narcissism is our own evolution. Like, we're becoming more aware. Before we before many moons ago, we just would have been dominated by them, or maybe in another life they were the ones sort of pointing and screaming and shouting while we were being burned at the stake or being beheaded, or whatever cruel killing was going on because of some sort of empathic, intuitive, and medicinal superpower. So, we look at the historical framework, and we're coming now. Most of us are able to break free and continue to survive and live after undergoing pretty brutal narcissistic control and or dynamics that are, regardless of labels. Like, all the labels, and still your spark of divine consciousness. This is something. Oh, I work, or I'm this, or I'm like you. We are so much more than these labels and words that we put on ourselves, and that's the juice. That's what people are like. I'm a seeker. I'm a spiritual seeker. What are you seeking? It's like, because it's within us. It's the experience within us that's allowing us to relate to this, like, whoa. And let's be real, like, we're all having our own unique experience, right? And from within that, we're all completely divine. Thomas, darling, I'm in the UK, honey, but I'm leaving. I'm going to Morocco for some sun and surf because I'm lonely and depressed. Just you can tell I'm not that depressed, right? I mustn't say that too. Like, I'm not making light of depression. All right, I know it's brutal. Although, let me just go on another little rant there. Like, this is something else I'm aware of in our modern culture. Like, one thing that I'm perpetually, because I've been thrifting and kind of like on this trajectory for like 20 years, and I'm like, guys, stop shopping. Guys, become more spiritually connected so like these forces external don't have so much power over you. Guys, and constantly getting knocked back. And I just give less cares now. That's all. I just don't care what other people think as much anymore, and I'm increasingly committed to like to that kind of self-knowing. And so the depression and anxiety epidemic, right? One thing that I'm acutely aware of is I'm like, humanity, we do our best, but part of me thinks the reason there's so much depression and anxiety is because like we're all so disconnected, and because shopping isn't solve our problems, my lovers. Having more stuff isn't gonna solve our problems. And I think we think it will. Like, if I just had more money, if my body was just skinnier, if I could just attract the right partner or the right job or the well, no, because the thing is, none of the stuff that serves the system, none of the stuff that serves this weird oligarch corporate, right? That anything we do that's like serving that isn't actually getting us anywhere, and is probably the underlying reason why we've been depressed. So depression and anxiety is really an effect of our disconnection, right? And the more connected we are, I can experience anxiety and depression, but I'm not a victim of it. It doesn't linger. And or with spiritual connection, I can hold space for myself. So I can be depressed and just observe it. I can be high vibratory and completely ungrounded and observe it. And then watch myself come back to ground and observe myself getting burnt out. That's what I'm talking about, my lovers. It's just the awareness of self, isn't it? Yeah, I've lived in the UK for over 20 years now. This is something people in the United Kingdom, like, oh, where are you from? I'm Canadian. And they're like, oh, how wonderful. You've not lost your accent. And I'm like, except for when I go back to Canada. People in Canada are like, hey, where are you from? And I'm like, I'm from here, friend. I'm from here. But you know, when you travel loads, and especially when you start to live somewhere else, it's a slow process, but your accent morphs. Other traveler types, we've had little chit-chattel about it, because it's subtle, but it's true. You know, people are like, you sir sound Canadian. I'm like, yeah, Canadians don't think I sound Canadian. Pardon me, my lovers. I'm still like shaking off this wretched cold. So that's my new vibratory. Instead of letting myself be triggered, I just delete people who are cruel and mean. Because, you know, and this is one thing. If you're, you know, somebody who on any level has been diminished and put down, I think some of us maybe have more experience with that, with people's judgment and cruelty. And honestly, being an other, even if I'm white and from a Commonwealth country, especially like all those years ago when Brexit started to happen, or like people would actually say, are you legal? Like, do you have, you're like, whoa. It's like the common citizen going out to play government or play like the deservingness. And here I am coming from a place of unconditional love where every single one of us deserves to be here and every single one of us deserves to have our basic needs met. And the whole world that is just like materially driven, that's at the same time destroying the planet to acquire the materialism and dominate the majority of the humans here, whilst taking away their resources from that which is inherently theirs. None of this is sensical. None of this is optimal. None of this is positive in a sense, because we're just on this freight train speeding to our own annihilation because we're disconnected. A mind disconnected from its host will destroy its host, or a mind rather disconnected from the heart. A mind disconnected from the heart will destroy its host. So that's part of all to love. If all of us, or the majority of us, or even probably just a fucking fraction of us, because love is so much more powerful than the other separation construct, if we could love ourselves and love one another, the world would be a miraculously different place. And this isn't some ideological projection, or it's an ideological projection, just like this weird, fearful control, domination, and you know, oligarchies and people taking over and all that. That's also a fearful delusion. Why not make it a loving delusion? Oh, and anyway, I don't care. I'm just gonna do what I want with as much love in my heart as possible, right? Yeah, divine sight, please do, because you came through my awareness very recently. Probably within this, because I've started broadcasting a bit more. And yeah, and honestly, you guys, I just, like, if you're gonna be sort of rude to me, if you're gonna be rude to one another, I'm just getting way better at like deleting and not getting impacted by people's trolls or rudeness. It's like I'm hosting a YouTube channel live chat and somebody's saying you talk too much. I'm like, who needs it? Especially because who cares? I don't, it's right. It's like, I don't need to even justify it, but there we go. I'm pretty sure the only reason I came live was to hi to my bestie, one of my besties, divine side, amazing medicine woman and teacher and healer, as is your partner. The owning. Okay, you guys, look at this. When I look back and man, people are just so, it's like, so I'll look at this comment from Foon. Oh no, see, look, you're being mean to one another. I don't, my name's MJ, Holla Shazam! Holla Shazam! All right, I'm gonna bounce out because that's all I really wanted to do is to map out the toxic culture, this idea of nuclear family and trad wives, and why. So also, like, in our classist system, that's why the nuclear family is breaking down in the classist system, because really truly to raise children in a healthy way, we need community, and community is more in alignment with what we might consider matriarchy, or just women looking after themselves and one another in their tribe. And yet women have to be respected and valued, not diminished to cleaners. Not that there's a bad thing. I love cleaning. I do. I love cleaning, and if I'm in the right mood, I love to cook. But these roles, right, in the patriarchy, women just have babies and clean. Men go out and work. Like, what is that? And that's part of why it's breaking down, because it's too limited. It's just this limited little construct that serves like teeny few people. Pluto in Aquarius is literally triggering more and more people to wake up. Wake me up before you go. To wake up and claim your freedom. And let's be real, it's claimed from within self. No amount of money, no sort of validation status from external. So like nothing out there is going to love you and validate you, not like you. So once you love you and you validate you and you kind of give yourself the props to be here and to genuinely exist as you are, you wait. Whoa, you wait. The power of the love, the power of the light and the power of the love is coming for us all. That's a big part of karma. It's a big part of like facing our shadow. It's the fire. It's the fire in the heart. It's the altar of God, which is your connection to heart, to spirit, and the entire quantum field. It's all accessible. Most of us just get fixated on the things around us and the minutia that distract us from connection to spirit, but it's all there. Anyway, no amount of shopping is going to solve our problems. It's only connection through the heart and having honest and open dialogue with one another and having the courage to be vulnerable. Holla Shazam! Big love for all of you. Thanks for joining my little chit chat. I appreciate every single one of you. Design Divine Sight, feel free to reach out anytime you love her. You guys have a great day. Big vibrational hugs. And next time I see you guys, I'll probably be in sunny Morocco. It's necessary for me, and if you're passing on through the Moroccan desert, feel free to visit my surf school and we can have a little yoga practice and go surfing. Otherwise, look after yourself to look after your tribe, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys real soon. Peace into New Earth. Let the new paradigm unfold. Peace out, my lovers!